And you listen to a bunch of things from the music of Townes Van Zandt. We started off with a bunch of arrangements of his music. First, Doc and Merle Watson doing If I Needed You. Emmylou Harris from Luxury Liner doing Pancho and Lefty. Robin and Linda Williams from 9 Till Midnight doing None But the Rain. Steve Young from an early album doing No Place to Fall. And then we listened to some things from Townes himself. From his most recent album on Sugar Hill, we listened to a version of Buckskin Stallion Blues, and then a couple of live things from a live album recorded in the 80s called Rex's Blues and White Freight Liner. And on the phone now, hold on a second here. Should be here. Townes, are you there? Hold on a second. Townes? Hold on a second, please. Townes, you there? Somehow this is not coming out over the air, and I don't know why. It should be working. I can hear you, but I don't. The people can't hear you. That's the problem. And it should be working, but. Are you there now, Townes?
Yeah.
Can you hear? Hold on a second. Can I hear you now?
Hello?
Yeah, great. I think I hear you now over the air. Great, Townes. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. Anyway, we're talking to you from Nashville, Tennessee, which is where you live now.
I live outside of Nashville.
Right. And once again, for people who are just tuning in, you're going to be playing at the Palms on Wednesday, April 14th. And you've been in the news.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Okay.
No, nobody tells me anything.
Oh, God. That's terrible. Anyway, you've been in the news lately because Nancy Griffith's new album, which Other Voices, Other Rooms, which is an album of other people's music. She recorded your Tecumseh Valley, and then I saw her on the Today Show a couple weeks ago, and they asked her what her most favorite thing doing was, and she said it was that song. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I've known Nancy for a while, and I think the reason she gave us her middle name was Caroline.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Right, and plus I've heard that. You know, Peter, it's always seemed to me that every cut that I've ever gotten by other people seemed really, really beautiful to me. No matter how they did it, they changed it a little or did it this way or that way, it's still a real, being a songwriter, you know what I mean? To have somebody else do a song and take it as their own and do it, that's one of the nicest feelings you can have. And I think that particular cut on Tecumseh Valley on Nancy's new record is one of the best I've ever heard.
It really fits in with her style really well. It just seemed the arrangement, and also just the way the song is written also seems to work really well for Nancy Griffith as well.
Well, we came, from the same school. I came about 10 or 15 years earlier, but same school.
Well, I don't know. It seems to me more likely that she went to school on your songs. I'm sure in fact, she said the same. She was on NPR's maybe All Things Considered recently, and she said just as much about your songwriting. But anyway, you've obviously had a lot of people do your songs, including in the early '80s when Willie and Merle Haggard recorded Pancho and Lefty, and basically. I heard a story from a local songwriter here who told me that about that time he was playing at open mics at the Freight and Salvage in Berkeley, and he said everybody who'd come to the Freight and Salvage then would say, oh, here's a song by an obscure songwriter I'm sure you've never heard of. His name is Townes Van Zandt, and here's the song. And then they'd all play Pancho and Lefty as if they discovered it. And the question to you is, do you think now that Nancy Griffith has re-recorded Tecumseh Valley, you're going to be rediscovered by a whole bunch of new singers?
Well, I'm getting some cuts these days. It's I don't quite look at it like that, as discovered or rediscovered or undiscovered. I just write songs for me and my soul, and it's a real honor to me that somebody likes them. My wife Janine kind of worries about the other part,
the business
the
part,
business part, this, that, and the other. I think we have a whole bunch of cuts coming up. I think we have maybe it's kind of always bad luck to say who, but I think we have 3, 4, 5 big time cuts coming up.
those are new
And
songs?
it's just a real pleasure to me for that to happen.
Were these new songs or some of the older songs being redone?
A matter of fact, one or two new ones, and then three old ones. I'm fixing to put out a new record here soon. I need to finish up 2 songs, and then I'll have enough for a brand new record. And I have 2 new records in Europe, and I have an anthology that's going to be out soon on Warner Brothers. That's 62 recut songs, all brand new cuts of old songs with I think 45 guest stars from Neil Young to Freddie Fender to Doug Somm to Joe Ely. It's going to be a 4 CD set with 62 songs we worked on a long time, and have all the lyrics in it. But my main project now is I need to finish these 2 songs. See, I'm a what you call a very lazy, philosophic sort of guy. So it takes me a while to do stuff. But I'm closing in on it, and I have a brand new album. So
that sounds great. Let me ask you, going back to Pancho and Lefty, here's something I've always wanted to ask you, and I have the opportunity to ask you. I mean, I've listened to the song for 15 years. Actually, when you wrote it in the early 70s or the mid-70s?
Mid-70s.
Yeah. I've always wondered who Lefty is, and my understanding is, I mean, from listening to lyrics, you're intimating that he was the Pancho Villa's assassin. Is there any historical basis on that?
Let me tell you, Peter, that song came straight from the air. That's Booker White used to call them sky songs. That song came through a motel room roof, through my head and out my right hand. And the only thing I knew about that song, that Poncho was not Pancho Villa. Pancho's Mexican for Frank. And that's all I knew. It was Frank and Lefty. And then somebody did a kind of a study on it, and it turned out that Pancho Villa had a sidekick during the Mexican Revolution, whose Mexican nickname, translated, was Lefty. So who knows? But all I knew, I just wrote it down. I have no idea.
That's amazing. You're talking about all the people that are going to be on this album that of all these old songs, and you mentioned Joe Ely, and I wanted to ask you about, you live in Nashville, outside of Nashville now, I know, but I mean your roots are in Texas, and generally, people point to you and say that you're one of the founding fathers of sort of the Texas singer-songwriter school. And there's just been, since your time, there's just been generations, right down to new people. I mean, not even like Nancy Griffith and people like Robert Earl Keen, who just played here last week in town at the Palms, Tishino Hosa, I mean, a whole score of people. What is it about Texas that such great songwriters come out of Texas? Could you tell me that?
Well, I'm asked that quite a bit. My friend, a long-time, 25-year friend, Guy Clark, he says he thinks it's the water.
What about the water?
But I heard Peter, this is a pretty good theory. There were so many cattle drives up from Texas, up to where the railroads were, to Kansas, that all those cowboys just sang to you. I mean, they sang just to kill the time on horseback. I spent a lot of time on horseback. And you end up kind of singing to yourself. You know what I mean? And if you get a bunch of guys together, you kind of compare notes and sing this song, and somebody will improve on it, and somebody else will improve on it. And, you just end up singing all the way to Kansas. That's a pretty interesting theory.
But does it have anything to do with the city of Austin and the fact that most of these people live there? And
Well, Austin was, that happened after all the people started singing. They moved to Austin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Austin didn't create that. That created Austin.
Yeah, because people like Joe Ely and Butch Hancock and
They're
Jimmy
from
Dale
Lubbock.
from Lubbock, right? Terry Allen.
I figure my theory about that is some kind of meteor hit. Buddy Holly, Joe Ely, Butch Hancock, Jimmy Dale, and on and on and on. All those guys came from Lubbock.
Oh, so you think they might have come from outer space themselves, and they came out on this?
Could be, or at least touched by outer space.
That's an interesting theory.
Oh yeah, I know Jesse Taylor for sure is touched by outer space. He's an old dear friend. All them guys it's really fun to talk to you, man. These are all my old buddies. I'm stuck out here in Tennessee.
Yeah, I was going to ask you this question now. I mean, Austin to me seems like the place to die. I mean, it seems like the place to live, to listen to music, and to hang out. And I understand that you go to Nashville to try to make it. Tell me about the Nashville scene and what it's like for an Austin person.
It's kind of different than that. You can the best pickers in the world are here. The best studio pickers. You can get a demo made here. Austin's where the live music is, and Nashville's where the business is. That's one thing. Another thing is Nashville is a airport hub. You can get anywhere from here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. I mean, I could go to Austin and put together a band in one day. You could say, hey, look, I'm not sure where we're going. I know it's 500 miles north. Anybody want to go? And within 5 minutes, I could have whoever I wanted. Yeah, you bet, man. Let's go. And here it's a whole different thing. Here you can do a demo in the best facilities in the world. It's a different ballgame.
Yeah, and what do you think? Go ahead.
Well, if you travel as much as I do, that it doesn't really, it doesn't make that much difference where you live as long as you're close to an airport. And the third thing, Peter, is that Austin's way too much fun for me. It doesn't take me 45 minutes. I'm in trouble. Yeah, it's more like that. Yeah.
What do you think of the music, the country music industry as embodied by Nashville? Is commercially as viable now as ever? I mean, it's really popular. What do you think of it artistically?
Well, it's commercially viable, big time. But I keep having the feeling that they pick people out, and the people have talent, big time, for sure. But it seems like the record companies just pick out people, young guys or girls, and young men or women, and say, this is the next country star. And that's what you hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. It seems like that's happening big time. But, they're all, and the ones they pick out are genuinely talented, but it seems that they kind of come out of the closet and have a million-selling record.
Right, they don't come up through the clubs like people like Nancy Griffith or
Nancy
or Lyle Lovett have actually, even though they've crossed over into that mainstream, they've paid their dues.
Oh, they've covered the miles.
Covered the miles, right?
Yeah, a lot of them here nowadays seems like they really haven't covered the miles. When I started playing, and Guy Clark, he's one of the best buddies, and a bunch of other guys. But when we started, it seemed like you got a suitcase and a guitar case and hitchhiked to Oklahoma City because there was a new club opening up for $10 a night. Hey, Guy, you want to go to Oklahoma City? I hear the Sword and the Stones, a new folk joint, opened up. And you could audition on Wednesday and then, play on Friday for $20, $30. And nowadays, it's like you go to your garage or your basement and work on a tape until it's good enough to get a record deal and a video. Seems like.
So what you're saying is the
Well, I don't think either one is any better than the other. And there's some real good music coming out all the time. But it's just kind of a different deal.
It's less performance-oriented and it's more recording-oriented. Is that what you're saying? I mean, people don't go out and gig a lot and work in clubs.
And music videos, was a big deal.
It's taken the place of going out and playing clubs. Because I noticed some of these people seem to go from nowhere to playing at big arenas. I wonder how they do that.
Out of the blue. Videos and records.
Okay. Well, I'm interested.
But You know, I don't sound like no kind of old fogey or nothing. Everything's okay with me. You know what I mean? Like, I could...
I just wanted your perspective. You've been around a while, and it's interested to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, I'm a hardcore rambler. I play anywhere, anytime, for any money. Give me the keys to the car, and I'm gone.
Yeah, well, speaking of playing, you're coming to the Palms, and it's been a while. It must be, 4 or 5, at least that many years since you've been out here. Is that right? Do you remember last time you were out here?
Well, I tried to make it out there. I made it as far as the riverboat in Paducah, Kentucky. I lost all my money. I can't believe it. I'm like such an idiot. And then I had to come home. So I guess I'm headed out there now. This is the first I've heard of it.
Oh, that's amazing. A KDVS exclusive here. Well, the signs have been up in town for a couple of weeks, so it must be real. And I spoke to you.
I'm probably playing the Great American too, right?
I don't know about that, but I'm sure you got a tour out here. I mean, I spoke with your Keith Case, and he said that's for sure. So.
Well, it's usually the Great American and McCabe's in L.A. and the Palms, and that'd be nice to see that place.
It hasn't changed at all, and there's been a lot of great.
It's a good place.
A lot of great.
Real close. I mean, the audience is right there. You got to be good. I mean, you have to be on your toes. I like that.
Well, Robert Earl Keen was here Thursday night, and he said, as he opened up, he said, this place is like playing in someone's living room as if their living room was a barn. And Bush Hancock's coming out in a couple of weeks. It's, I think, the first time he's played out here. We're really looking forward to that, too.
Oh, man.
That's a special one. Yeah.
Butch is, he's one of the few genuine, maybe the only Renaissance man that I know. I've known him for a long time. And I mean, he is the genuine thing. He's an architect, an artist, a philosopher, a photographer, a musician, a poet, an author, a carpenter. Butch is out there.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about that. We're going to go out here. Before we go out, I want to ask you a question here. Now, I've seen you many times over the years, and you're famous for your 30-second jokes, right? Your between your song jokes.
Yeah.
You got any new ones?
Keep them down to a minimum.
Yeah, I know. They're usually 2 or 3 lines. You got a new one, or we got one you want to pass along here to the listening audience?
Well, y'all have horse racing out there, right?
Yep.
Well, this guy wakes up one morning and he looks at his clock, and its second-hand clicks to exactly 7 o'clock. And he's thinking, well, that's far out. So he gets up and realizes this is the 7th of July, which is the 7th month. Wow. So he has some coffee, and he goes down and checks his mailbox, and he has a postcard from each of his 7 daughters who never write. They're all across the country. One of them lives in England. And he's saying, wow, he's starting to freak out. He's got some gambler in his veins, So he calls up the bank, and he says, how much money I got? And the lady says, well, sir, you have exactly $700. So that does it. He just freaks out. He races down to the bank, gets the money, goes out to the track, puts it on number 7 in the 7th race. Horse came in 7th.
I knew it. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Okay, Townes. We're going to go out with the song that's caused the stir recently. That's Tecumseh Valley. Is this song based on anybody you knew? Is there really someone named Caroline?
Well, her name wasn't Caroline. It's based on somebody I knew.
And is there a place called Spencer?
Well, let me tell you, Peter, it's kind of funny. I made that part up, and then I found out later there is a place called Spencer, and there is a Tecumseh Valley. But I wrote it about, West Virginia and kind of West Virginia or Pennsylvania coal mine, And it turns out Tecumseh Valley and Spencer, and it's right across the hills, like it says in the song, but it's in Oklahoma.
Wow.
Guy pointed that out to me.
Townes, maybe you could write a song about me having a dream about winning the lottery. I think I'd like that. Anyway, Townes, it's been a pleasure. Once again, you're going to be coming out.
Are you going to be at the gig?
Oh, I'll be at the gig. And
make sure you say hello.
Oh, I'll be there. Hold on to the phone here, and I'll speak to you just to go off the air here. We're gonna listen to Townes Van Zandt, a live version. This was recorded in the 80s. This is from your Live and Obscure. It was recorded in Nashville.
Live in Berlin.
Right. Okay.
That version? That's a good version.
Okay, great. Townes Van Zandt with Tecumseh Valley. Hang on the phone.
Yeah, the name she gave was Caroline, the daughter of a miner, and her ways were free, and it seemed to me the sunshine walked beside her. Come from Spencer, across the hill. She said her pa had sent her, 'cause the cold was low and soon the snow would turn the skies to winter. Well, she said she'd come to look for work. She was not seeking favors for a dime a day and a place to stay. She turned those hands to labor. But the times were hard, Lord, and the jobs were few. All through Tecumseh Valley, but she asked around, and a job she found, tending bar for Gypsy Sally. Well, she saved enough to get back home when spring replaced the winter, but her dreams were denied. Her pa had died. Oh, the word come down from Spencer. Well, they found her whoring out on the streets with all the lust inside her. And it was many a man returned again to lay himself beside her. And they found her down beneath the stairs that led to Gypsy Sally's. In her hand when she died was a note that cried, fare thee well, Tecumseh Valley. The name she gave was Caroline, the daughter of a miner, and her ways were free, and it seemed to me the sunshine walked beside her.
And that's Katie Moffett from her brand new release on Philo Rounder Records called Greatest Show on Earth. And it's a tune that she co-wrote with Tom Russell called Born with a Broken Wing, and the album is also produced by Tom Russell. We started that set off right after the interview with Townes Van Zandt with him doing Tecumseh Valley from his live and obscure album on Sugar Hill Records, and then followed that up with music from Nancy Griffith from her new album Other Voices, Other Runes, doing Night Rider's Lament, and then Tom Russell from a fairly recent album of his on Rounder Records called Poor Man's Dream, we listened to a song he co-wrote with Nancy Griffith called Outbound Plane, and then finished the set off with Katie Moffett. And you're listening to the Saturday Morning Folk Show here on KDVS, and I have a little plea out here to my listeners. If anybody recorded the interview I did with Townes Van Zandt, could you give me a call after I go off the mic here at 752-2777? I'd really appreciate it. We're going to go back to the music after a few announcements. First, let's thank our sponsor for the 10 to 11 o'clock hour of programming here on KDVS, and that's Samira's of Davis. Okay, so you can spring to your feet with Mumbo Gumbo. The award-winning band Mumbo Gumbo will provide the music for the Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence Center's annual fundraiser on Saturday, April 3rd. And spring to your feet with Mumbo Gumbo for a Bourbon Street Ball begins at 6 p.m. at the Vet Mets Center, 14th and B Streets in Davis. That's April 3rd on Saturday. For more information, call 661-6335. And here's another show on KDVS that you might be interested in if you like this show.
Come on and wake up. Come on and wake up now. It's time to shake a leg and get up. It's time for you to raise your head
Wake up to Mr. Wagman's Neighborhood, where morning becomes eclectic, and you're likely to hear anything from Celtic music to roots rock and weird parodies. That's Mr. Wagman's Neighborhood, Wednesday mornings from 6 to 9.
Okay, we're going to go back into the music right now. Here's something from David Maloney's new album called An Ordinary Day, and the song's called Trudy.